Welcome back. Now that you have a better understanding of how to use consequences sparingly but effectively, in this lesson we'll explore another one of the most overused parenting tools, and that's timeout. Almost every parent I know has used timeout at one point or another, because pediatricians tell us to use it, our friends tell us to use it. So do a lot of early childhood experts. Part of the reason timeout became so popular is that it offered an alternative to spanking. Because of the overwhelming research, as well as changing societal views, parents realized that spanking is actually harmful to the child, both physically and emotionally. So they started using timeout instead. And why timeout is popular, particularly with parents of young kids, that doesn't mean it's effective, especially if your kids are strong-willed. Let's take a look at a parent role play that depicts some of the inherent challenges with timeout. In this scenario, the mother's upset because she asked the child to put his toys away and he didn't do it. Take a look at the role play and then we'll get back together and talk about it. Okay, in this next exercise, we're going to simulate timeout. So, Jesse, you're obviously playing the child. Nancy, you're going to be the mom, and I'll let you guys take it from here.
Okay, son, it's bath time. Why don't you pick up your blocks and get ready for the bath?
But Mom, I just made this awesome tower. I want to drive my train through it.
Yeah, it is awesome, and that's a cool train, but I need you to pick up your train, put it away, because it's bath time. Now let's go.
But I'm not even dirty. I'd rather sit and play with my toys.
Why don't you listen to me? I need you to listen. Mom's saying that it's bath time, so pick up your toys and come on, let's go.
No, I don't want to.
Listen, you have just earned yourself 10 minutes in timeout because you're disobeying and you're not listening. Now sit in the chair. 10 minutes. What did I just say?
I just wanted to put
one
more block on.
I know. You've just earned yourself another 5 minutes in timeout. Now sit there for 15 minutes. Excuse me, son. Get in the chair. Stay in the chair and don't move. If I have to stay with you for 15 minutes and make you sit here, I will. Sit in the chair.
So guys, that was great. Jesse, what were you thinking when you were playing the child?
Still kind of silly, really. But, I just wanted to, build my blocks, and, she was talking to me, but I'm not really listening to her. I'm more focused on what I was playing with.
Yeah. What were you thinking, Nancy?
It's bath time. When you get to that bedtime, you got to get on the time, and so I just was focused on the bath and not really focusing on him or what he was doing. It was like, it's on to the next thing, so let's go.
How did your frustration level change as you went through the process?
Well, he's not listening, and when your kid doesn't listen to you or doesn't do what you ask, then your frustration elevates, and he's constantly disobeying me, so I, try to put in a consequence, and then he doesn't even acknowledge that that's a consequence. He just keeps leaving the chair,
Well, when she walks away, why do I have to sit there, She's not watching me.
So it kind of became a game for you, right? Yeah. So who was going to win this battle?
I was.
What do you think, Nancy?
Well, I don't know if she was holding me down.
I don't know. It felt like just a power struggle the whole time. I couldn't really tell who was winning, really. I was determined to win as the parent, but I still felt just frustrated the whole time, like I wasn't winning, really.
Who do you think had the power in this scenario?
I guess I had the power to choose whatever I wanted to do, and so long as she was giving me attention by putting me in timeout, I kind of held control over what she was doing because, she had to keep me there.
What did you think, Nancy?
It's a hard question, to be honest. I don't really feel like I had a clear answer of who has the power here, because I was definitely enforcing the power and trying to push that on him and be the disciplinarian, and no matter what, I'm going to stick with you, but I just felt frustrated the whole time.
Mm-hmm. And we'll talk about this in session 4, but it's that you were sort of trying to overpower him, right? You were using your adult big power to overpower him, but that only leads to frustration. So again, we'll talk about that a little further on in the course, but thanks guys, you did a great job. All right, let's talk about timeout. Raise your hand if you currently or have used timeout in the past. Okay, pretty much everybody, good. So tell me about that process that you saw between Jesse trying to escape from timeout and Nancy trying to keep him in timeout. Did that feel familiar to anybody? Tell me about your experiences with timeout.
it doesn't work. I gave up using that a long time ago because it's frustrating for me because I almost feel like I'm begging him to listen to me. And it definitely does not stop the behavior. And he doesn't learn anything from it. So it's all around, it's never been anything that's been helpful.
Okay. And oftentimes I need my child to go in timeout so that I can have a little time, but what ends up happening is exactly what happened with them, where I have to actually stay with the child because they're not going to stay in their timeout spot, and so it's not a break for me, and the anger and frustration just continue.
And they can play with, well, they can play with anything. Like even if I had taken all the toys away and put them in timeout, I mean, he was playing with, you know, whatever and trying to get out and do whatever, you know, it's amazing.
I feel that even, like she said, even if they do stay in timeout and they sit where they're supposed to stay, it's almost like once they're there, it's like, what is this for?
Yeah. And I think that's, with timeout, it feels like the punishment doesn't fit the crime, in that you're asking them to pick up their toys, but then you're having them sit out, and then the toys still aren't picked up. And so it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't really fit.
Yeah, doesn't solve the problem anyway, right?
You're not getting what you want either, which in that situation is to get them to take a bath. Now your bath time is delayed an additional 15 minutes because you now so it's
Yeah.
Nobody wins. Well, any other thoughts?
To that point, when I used it years ago, it would backfire so badly to the point that my daughter was very much like we just saw, trying to escape. And I would put her back, and she would escape, and I'd put her back. I'm trying to make dinner. I need you to pick up your toys. We're about to eat in 5 minutes. You know, now the pot's boiling over. She's escaping. I get so frustrated, I end up yelling and screaming at her. Now she's crying. Now I'm crying. Now I apologize. Now she's the victim. And it's like, what just happened? Like, what? So now Mommy's sorry. Mommy lost her temper. You know, it was ridiculous. So we stopped using it years ago. It was terrible.
Well, as you all have experienced in real life, and as you showed so beautifully in the role play, is that with a strong-willed child, it becomes a test of wills, right? It's about who is going to win. And in this situation, you were determined to win. Mom, you were determined to win, and we were kind of locking horns, right? Fortunately, there are better tools that you now have that you can use. But clearly, with strong-willed kids, timeout is going to escalate the power struggle. In the role play, it became the parent's job to keep the child in timeout. So whether you use the timeout chair or the naughty chair or the step or their room, if the child is at all strong-willed, it will become your job to keep him in timeout. And then it'll become the child's job to prove you can't. I've had parents say, Amy, should I hold the door shut to keep him in timeout? Well, what does the child learn from that other than how to fight back? We now understand the new power paradigm. We know we can't impose our will on another person, even a child. When we try to do that, the child is naturally going to try to fight back. How can we possibly force a child to stay in the naughty chair, right, without physically restraining him ourselves? Timeout inherently creates power struggles. The second problem with timeout is it doesn't create a learning opportunity. For all kids, and even the ones who are willing to sit in the timeout chair, they're not learning for the future. They're not sitting there thinking, what did I do wrong? How did I make a poor choice, and how can I do better in the future? Of course not. Instead, they're stewing about having to be in timeout. They're stewing about how mean you are that you did this to them. It turns the anger on you and makes the strong-willed child even more determined to win. Parents will say, I've put him in timeout over and over, but he still does X, whatever that is. Well, that's a clue. If we have to use the same reprimand over and over again, it tells us it's not working. So what should we do? Well, for little kids under the age of 2.5 or 3, it's more effective to use remove and redirect strategies. So you can remove the object, remove the child from the environment, redirect the child's attention, or redirect the child's activity. Removing a child from the situation or redirecting is not the same as timeout. But for kids over the age of 3, and even some younger, they know they are independent beings, and they are going to fight back if you try to make them sit in the timeout chair. So instead, use the tools in the toolbox. Start with mind, body, and soul time, and take time for training. positive choices, encouragement. Those are the best ways to change behavior. When that doesn't work, you can use when then or one of the logical consequences we talked about. Now, sometimes kids do just need a break from the situation. If that's the case, don't send them to timeout. Instead, take them somewhere in the house where they can calm down and chill out. That's not the same as sending him to his room for 10 minutes so he can think about his behavior. Instead, we're teaching him that he has the power to calm his body down and calm his emotions. You can help him do deep belly breathing or encourage him to listen to music, jump up and down, take a walk outside, read a book, whatever he needs to do to help himself feel better. Whenever he decides he's ready, he's welcome to join the group or resume the activity. He has the power to decide that. As you start this process, you'll have to do a lot of training to help your child learn to calm his body and emotions. Eventually, they'll be able to draw upon those skills on their own. The best thing we can do for our kids and for ourselves is to forget time out and instead work the toolbox. That will address the root cause of the misbehaviors. You'll have much better results, you'll empower your kids, and you'll all feel so much better about the process. In the next lesson, we'll answer the question I hear most often: what's the best consequence for not listening? And the answer may surprise you.